Okay, so we're starting early. It's Lag BaOmer. Um, let's share the page where we're holding. There we go. Middle of the Fabring Lag BaOmer in the year Tav Shin Yud 1950, which was, like we said, before the Rebbe officially accepted leadership. So we're holding Sicha Text, page 5. You do what's known, the Rebbe says, Sha'admer Ha'emtzoi, meaning the middle Rebbe, second to Rebbe Chabad, Dov the son of the Alter Rebbe. His custom was like it's brought down in the Yom Yom to go out to the field on Lag BaOmer, to go out to the outdoors. And there were many miracles for women, barren women who weren't able to have children. Through his blessings on Lag BaOmer when they were out in the field, is that they had children, sons, and the sons. The idea was that the sons should be chassidim. The Rebbe says in the brackets, other times of the year, when mothers or husbands would come to ask for brachos for children, wives or husbands, the middle Rebbe would send to his younger brother, who was Chaim of Harav Chaim Avram, the middle Rebbe's brother, Alter Rebbe's son. Reb Chaim Avram Hayolevich HaKoiva. The Reb Chaim Avram would put on his hat. The Rebbe says, "Are you a shtreimel or a shtreimel?" Means to take this opportunity to give a blessing very seriously. That's throughout the year. But Mashenk in Lag BaOmer, when it came to Lag BaOmer, but it says when they were going out to the field, he himself would accept the quests that people had for children, and he would bless that they should be sons and chassidim. Now the Rebbe doesn't explain. What does it mean that when you go out to the field, we could compare this to the concept that we learn in Elul, that the king is in the field. A move of Chassidus that's brought down in the Chassidic discourses, that when the king is in the field, as the Alter Rebbe explains in the Likutei Torah and is explained by the Maimarim of the Rebbe's afterwards, specifically our Rebbe, and Rashayin Kol Mi the king is accessible, and anyone could go greet the king. Kabbalas Ol, and the king himself goes and accepts everyone and receives everyone with a smiling face. But when the king is in his palace, he has less. The regular person has no access to them, and it's different setting, the palace, the throne room, etc. It's not casual. It's not relaxed. You have to have special permission and a special appointment. You have to be a person that makes it on the list. Even if you try to get on the list, not everyone can get on the list to meet the king. But when the king is in the field, everyone has access, and the mood and the relationship is much more relaxed. Why is it like that? And the palace is only for a few. It's only for the selected few with an appointment, etc. Whereas in the field, the king is accessible. When the king is in his palace, so the revelation, the gilui of the king is at a much higher level, and therefore there's a great distance. Kivon, he reveals himself in his whole form as the king. However, when the king is in the field, he's accessible to everyone. Everyone can come see him. He understands that's the whole point. Because, so to say, he's casual. Casual means the king's not showing himself with his whole internal glory as king. He lowers himself from his elevated status. Goes to the field. There's a revelation to everyone. Everyone could greet the king, as in examples that we learned in the Maimarim of Elul of Anila Doidi. This is the reason that's why. With regard to the month of Elul, we refer that to as king is in the field. Okay, I'm not sure where we're holding. Not sure we got disconnected. So let's go back to the beginning. Okay. Through the page. Let's make sure this is working again. Okay, we're holding. Doesn't seem like it's covering. Oh, here we go. So, okay, we were talking about, I'm not sure where we're holding. The Rebbe is explaining about Lag BaOmer was the middle Rebbe would go out to the field. And when middle Rebbe would go out to the field, he would give a bracha for children, specifically on Lag BaOmer. Throughout the year, he gave it, the brachos were given through his brother Chaim Avram. And the Rebbe is explaining that the idea of going out to the field is like going out to the like kings in the field on El. The king is in the field is like a lower level of the king is casual. He's not showing himself in his full glory. Therefore, everyone has access. Whereas when the king is in the throne room, which is like Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, there's the king is in his full glory. It's not so simple. Now I'm not sure where you got where the YouTube disconnected, but we'll just continue. Understand what it means that the middle Rebbe went out to the field on Lag BaOmer. The idea of the gal, which we said is like the heap, the stones, that is supposed to be the sign to remind a person that while you're being connected, you also have to know your values and what your limitations are. Like we said yesterday, that the heap of stones that separates Lavan from Yaakov is that though you have to go into Lavan's world and to bring out the ניצוצות and to bring out the sparks and to be instrumental in change and bringing a likus over there, but you have to know that you shouldn't get affected by the world, but you should affect the world, and that is done through the reminder of the gal of the heap of stones. That's why the middle Rebbe, in the time of Gal, of Lag BaOmer, when you went out to go change the world, middle Rebbe would go out to the field, which is the field of Esav, the man of the field. That's the idea of a Yitzil Sadeh Lag BaOmer, to go out to the field of Lag BaOmer. Showing on the idea of going mamish to the far ends of holiness, so to say, with that boundary of meets of holiness going into the places of the chitzonius, of the impure. You should know that there's a God that shows this is the point. Don't go past this point, or don't lose yourself in this place where you're trying to influence and you shouldn't get influenced. And that's one of the reasons why the middle Rebbe did miracles. Why? For the middle Rebbe to show miracles, it was like Melech B'Sada, it was casual. The middle Rebbe was about Avodah. For the middle Rebbe to show miracles, and through miracles to try to kind of connect people, that's not what the Chabad is about. Just like we said before, for those who were able to be on there, that Melech is B'Sada, the king is not showing his full glory. It's kind of more casual. The casual is the miracles. Why? Because it's chitzonius. It's not Pnimiyus. It's not Avodah. So why would he go to the field? Is because he would give brachos for the barren woman, for those who need what it represents in Avodah, to have the masculinity, which is the scharim, children, and the should be chassidim. This idea that to go, the middle Rebbe would show miracles, so he should be able to have that there should be children that are with the masculinity, and they should be chassidim. We also find by the previous Lubavitch Rebbe specifically went to America. We learn in the Haggadah that it says that Yaakov Avinu went down to Egypt by force. Onus means by force, by Hashem. Means Hashem said you have to go down. There's the decree that Avram and Hashem discussed about the 400 years that the Jewish people are going to be in a foreign land. If God is telling him he has to go down, he would surely want to do what Hashem wants. Why does he have to be forced? So the reason why there's by Yaakov Avinu went down honest, he went down by force, because the rutzin that Hashem wants, the desire Hashem wants, is what's going to be accomplished through going down. But the going down itself is you're going into a place of impurity. So that itself is not a positive thing. You're doing it because you're by force. The rutzin, the desire that Hashem wants with it, is what's going to be accomplished by going there. When the similarly, when the Pnimiyus HaTorah went to America, for the Frierdiker Rebbe to go to the other half of the world. Why is it called the bottom half of the world? Because the top half of the world, Matan Torah, that's where Matan Torah was. Matan Torah was it was in the top half of the world. If you're going to flip the world upside down, Yerushalayim, Egypt, desert, that area would be where Matan Torah is the top. So you cut it in half. The United States is on the bottom. Why? So that means it's a Yerida, because the Matan Torah wasn't on the bottom half of the globe. I said, well, honest, therefore, to go to such a Yerida, a place that Matan Torah wasn't, it's a place it's by force. But that's what Hashem wanted. In order for Mashiach to come, we should be able to we have to go all the way over there. Sicha Text should be Yas in the Khan. He bishvil avoided that. The previous Rebbe said, why did I come to America? Not just escaping the Nazis. Come to the United States of America was so they should be able to spread the teachings of Chassidus. Sicha Text should be Yas in the Khan. He yitzil l'sadi bishvil l'asas barim scham Chassidus. Similar to the Mittel Rebbe saying he went out to the field in order to give blessings for sons who would be Chassidim. He would go out to the field. It's like going to America. It's like going out to the field. Yitzil l'sadi l'ayrak. It's not like you go out of the king's going out of his palace or out of his chamber room to go to the capital city or to be inside the city. Like David HaMelech would go, or Shlomo HaMelech would go out to Yerushalayim. By the Ir Stam or to any city. It's out of the city, it's out of a populated place, it's a place of Asa. It's at Goydel, I read the Tachim to the Frierdiker Rebbe going to the United States spiritually, because that's the place where the Torah wasn't given, was like going to the field. That there was a purpose, and what's the kavanah? So that you should be able to transform, to make sons that are chassidim. Like a man who's darkish ish lichvosh, to conquer the world. Like it says ish darki lichvosh, a person is supposed to be a conqueror. The chassidim, not just any kind of man. The chassid she'ein darshim shitin lehem shay oilmus. The idea of what's the definition of here of chassid? That the chassid is not going to sit there and negotiate with the Rebbe. I'm only doing it if you're going to promise me 310 worlds of gifts. Mesirus Nefesh. The idea is to go in a way of self-sacrifice, because that's what the Rebbe wants. And when they said, what is the definition of a chassid? A chassid is someone, like it says, regarding to one who gets rid of their fingernails. So a person who burns them is a chassid. Someone who buries them is a tzaddik. Why? Why is it called a chassid? Because you're endangering yourself by causing a fire, but you want to make sure 100% that the woman will never, because we know that the idea is that if a woman who's pregnant steps on nails, it could cause a miscarriage. So a tzaddik says, okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to bury them. That's the best I could do. After that, there's nothing more I could do. The chassid says, no, even if I'm going to put myself in a situation of burning my nails, that could cause a fire, but that will make sure that a woman won't step on them, because burying them, they could become revealed from the dirt. Someone could unbury them. You don't want a person wants to make sure 100% that a pregnant woman won't step on on the nails, on the fingernails or the toenails. Even though it's more likely that he may burn himself by trying to make a fire than if a woman's going to actually go over and step on these, and if you just bury them, someone's going to unbury them, and then the woman's going to step on them. Because the chassid doesn't care. Chassid has to do with the kavanahs. Even if there's a small chance that something could go wrong, a chassid goes Mesirus Nefesh. Everything's about benefiting the next person. Again, this is a talk of his kashrus. The Rebbe says this has to be the attitude of a chassid to their connection to the Rebbe. That our going to Egypt has to be in a way of force. The focus is not that we try and do something that's comfortable for us. We're going because that's what the Rebbe wants, even if it's honest, even if it's by force. The person say, what do you mean? You want me to go conquer a city? The person is going to say, what do you want from me? You want me to go to a city? There's not another chassid. There's no one I can even talk to about chassidus, about a Rebbe. Because there's no one there to talk to about these subjects. You want me to go all the way to a city, to a place alone, and have no one that has a common interest, a common language? But the chassid says no. But that's where the Rebbe wants you to go. Notwithstanding of how difficult it is and how comfortable it is, and possibly spiritually lonely and chassidish lonely. Because that's what the Rebbe wants. So you put away your own benefit. And do what the Rebbe wants. You have to go to Egypt. If that's considered in Egypt for you. The kochos even more so. It's a Rebbe Atzmei. Imagine for a chassid how hard it is. But the Rebbe was on a much higher level. Surely it's hard to go to the other side of the world, to make chassidim and from people and Torah mitzvahs on the other side of the world. That was a huge Mesirus Nefesh for the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe says. Not only that, the Rebbe had to deal with you, with me, with you, with the next person. The Rebbe wasn't always happy with the people he was dealing with. What does it mean he wasn't happy? It was agmas nefesh spiritually that he had to talk about simple things. The Rebbe says someone once came into him speaking an hour about his car. The Rebbe sat there listening about the person's car. Why? Because maybe he's going to have a good word that he can have an effect on the person. Nevertheless, the Frierdiker Rebbe showed that person, even if the Frierdiker Rebbe was disappointed with that person. The Rebbe showed him a smiley face. The Frierdiker Rebbe said that the Rebbe told him, our Rebbe, Sefiras HaOmer in the summer of 1949, when he spoke about yechidus, that he sat with people privately in their private audiences, where people would spill their heart out in their stories. The Frierdiker Rebbe was physically getting, it was physically affecting his health, having to deal with certain issues of simplicity or certain issues of where people were struggling with their Yiddishkeit. But he didn't show it. It wasn't about showing it to the next person. He told it privately to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe is revealing this to us after the previous Rebbe passed away on Yud Shvat 1950. So there's a last comment, Tzloi, Shmitzad Madrigasi, Ein Zirid the Rebbe was able to deal with us and how it should have affected him in his own health, dealing with us with our petty issues. Even more so that we're not a Rebbe. It's not such a big reader for us to go to a city and do the Rebbe Shlichus. We have to do it. The Rebbe was never looking for the easy way out. He wasn't looking to make it easy for the Chassidim. The Frierdiker Rebbe lived a life of self-sacrifice. And he expected that from the Chassidim as well. The Rebbe says we have to take our own agenda and our own wants and put it on the side. It says not about you and what's good for us. what I want. It's about what the Rebbe wants from us, and the Rebbe wants us to go and invest our time and energy in helping another person. I'm not going to do the parentheses. The Rebbe says, MST. Now the Rebbe goes even further. When a person puts their own interest on the side in order to help someone else, it's going to end up benefiting the person themselves. It's not even really a selfless act. It's actually, if you think about it from the bigger picture, it's a selfish act. At least a self-benefit, because the Rebbe is going to explain why. The reason is. When you're doing things on your own, with your own efforts, I want to work on myself. Who knows if you're going to be successful? You work, it doesn't mean you'll be successful. Maybe you're not going to get to the right intentions of what you're supposed to be doing. You can maybe sit and study Hasidic discourse for many hours. You may not even understand it properly. When the Rebbe tells you to do something, and you're doing it because the Rebbe tells you to do it, so surely you're going to get to the truth because the Rebbe told you what to do, and you're doing it. You're not going with your own strength. You're going with the strength of the Rebbe. We don't know how things are going to be. Yehudi sheshanim rabis leiniach tefillin. It's possible. A Yid who didn't put on tefillin for many years. His eyes matzah. The Rebbe is telling him a story. When he saw the Frierdiker Rebbe eating his matzah, I think it was in Chicago, the story. Nita v'nikva emuna believe that changed the person's life. When we go with the kochos of the Rebbe, it's something that's beyond our strength. It's beyond even our comprehension of the effect it could have on us. So too here. It could be you're going to learn chassidus, and you think, I need to be private, so I'm going to learn chassidus. It's not going to have the effect. When you start doing what the Rebbe wants you to do, you follow him, like, all of a sudden you're going to see the effect in a way you never saw before. You're not going with your own strength, you're going with the strength of the Rebbe. Aside for the fact that you're helping someone else. It's known that the story of the Tzemach Tzedek, when Tzemach Tzedek was trying to get a revelation from the Alter Rebbe, only when he did a favor for someone else did he get revelations. We see clearly there's plenty of sources for the concept that when you do with someone else, when you give a favor to someone else, it benefits you also. Tzemach Tzedek was trying to see the Alter Rebbe after the Alter Rebbe passed away in a vision. And he had a lot of questions for the Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe would come see him, and now he hasn't come in a while. The Achri Stalkusay, after the passing of the Alter Rebbe. But also beyond, he couldn't accomplish it. When he went and found a Yid came to him, and he ran to give that person a gashmiyus chesed alone. He was able to hear from the Alter Rebbe and hear the things, the answers that he wanted. Okay. The Rebbe continues in the Sicha like this. This that we find that the Frierdiker Rebbe would go to the field to give brachos in the field, so there should be sons who are chassidim, meaning that they're ready to go out in an uncomfortable space in order to be poiled to affect on the next person, that next person should achieve even beyond their abilities, which means to connect to the kavanah, to the real intention. We find this connection to the tractate of Saita, which is the custom to learn between Shavuos and Pesach and Shavuos. We have 49 days of the Omer, and there's 48 pages. The first day is the blank page of Mesachas Sota. So what's the connection to the idea of going out to the field for blessings of sons who are chassidim? The Gemara teaches us, there's an idea. It says that if a woman is barren and doesn't have children, and she's accused by her husband of having an out-of-marriage relationship, and she drinks from the waters, then she will be blessed to have. If she couldn't have children, she'll have children. And where it says, it's the best thing. A woman will make her husband jealous. He'll accuse her of having relationships. She'll do whatever it does, even though she's doing questionable acts, but she'll get herself to drink the water. It's not true. She doesn't have a relationship with this person, and she'll have children. Means a woman, if a woman wants to do extreme measures to get to the blessing, so the Gemara gives an example. Chana said to God, Chana is, of course, Samuel, the prophet's mother, Elkanah's husband, his wife. Master the universe. Imra muta. V'yilav tira elech ve'ester b'fnei Elkanah b'ayli. If you're going to bless me, good. If you're not going to bless me, I'm going to go and sort of say, misbehave in a way that's going to make her husband Elkanah jealous, and he's going to say, stay away from that person, and then she's going to be there, and then he may bring her to drink the waters. So Chana says, if you're not going to give me a blessing for children, I'm going to make Elkanah jealous. He's going to accuse me. I'm going to go to the Mishkan. I'm going to drink the waters of the Sota, and I'm going to have children. You have to give me children. That says that if you drink the waters of the Sota and you haven't done what your husband accused you of doing, you'll have children. She said, I'm ready to take extreme measures to have children. You see, that sometimes when you lower yourself in a place of you're uncomfortable, or maybe even make yourself vulnerable, then like Chana says, I'm going to go and in a place of vulnerability. Then you're going to see that you're going to have children, which is the idea of success. The dogma we need to be done. He really lets us decide going out to the field, going out to Shlichus, going out to the places that maybe is beyond your comfort zone. For the sake of Torah mitzvahs, sometimes that's what you need to have to find your true growth. The Rebbe says even deeper. This the Chana said, Shmuel's mother, I'm going to go and hide and make kind of jealous, etc. Even she'eni mitzad heder ruchniyus. Chas v'shalom. Ain't you read that? Not only that, she wasn't really doing anything. She didn't do this, but she was threatening to do it, right? She wasn't even threatening to do something bad. She was just threatening to be in a situation of vulnerability that she's going to drink the waters. The whole point was that she wanted children, so she's going to do something that she's going to get children. So same thing over here. The whole point is really the elevation one has when they do what the Rebbe asks. When the Rebbe Zera elevated from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, so he fasted a whole bunch of fasts. So you should forget everything he studied in Bavel, so he could have a fresh mind for when he had to study the Torah of Eretz Yisrael, the Talmud Yishalmi. The Talmud Bavli ain't Yerida. For him, it wasn't a descent to forget everything he learned, to clean his hard drive. He's cleaning his hard drive so he could fill it up with better content. If you want to go to higher elevation, Talmud Yishalmi, to the level of the study of Torah, the way it was in Eretz Yisrael and Talmud Yishalmi, i.e. the yeshivas of Tveria under Rebbe Yochanan, certainly is brittle hadagas akademis. You have to totally erase everything you had before Talmud Bavli, which he studied when he was in Bavli. Sheva Yipol Tzaddik Kabbalas. The Rebbe Tanya quotes this pasuk that for the tzaddik sometimes has to fall in order to rise higher. Between stages, before you get to the higher stage. There's a little descent. The way it works, that's the rule of thumb. Sometimes when a person has growth in life, so we find setbacks before growths. It's like a stock, right? You go down a bit to go higher. Why? So there has to be. Sometimes there's when you're trying to go to a new stage in life, you feel like you went through a setback. That setback is naturally Shema Yipol Tzaddik, because the Tzaddik is going to be v'kam, is going to stand up. So therefore, there's a nefila before there's a standing up. This is why the Friedrich Rebbe would mark every night the Sefiras HaOmer. Last night I read, so he had maybe a pencil, just like this. The next night he knows that the night before he read the night before, right? The Friedrich Rebbe, he wasn't a person that would forget where he's holding in the sphere that he needs to mark it. And that's for simple people. The Rebbe obviously knows where he's holding. He's living the moment when it comes to the day of sphere. He knows that this whole day was about around that sphere. How could he forget where he's holding? So why? Because he marked it, because the next day is an elevation. So because you have to go from stage to stage, there's a little fallback. So he marked it, says shouldn't be a fallback in that situation. Okay. We have a few more pages. We're going to stop here and we'll finish the rest tomorrow. I just want to finish because today's Lag BaOmer. I'm skip ahead for a second. It's the last part of the Sicha. Maybe we're not going to finish this tomorrow. We'll skip to the end of the Sicha. So we'll do it from 15, page 11. He's masters the Rebbe. This is what we said before. When a person gives themselves over to the Rebbe, you're running on the Rebbe's fuel, not your own fuel. But we talk for galus. It's not just when the Rebbe is alive, but even when after the Rebbe has passed. One of the reasons we're learning the Sichas of the early years is because to understand the gashmiyus that we have with the Rebbe now in our situation, 5,786, 2026, where after Gimel Tamas, a lot we could learn about how the Rebbe spoke after Yud. The Rebbe says all this idea that we're still running on the kochos of the Rebbe. Chassid may say, okay, that wasn't the Rebbe's alive. The Rebbe's not alive. It's after Gimel Tamas. So the Rebbe says no. It's also Achri Stalkus, and even more so. Bishiftiach Rebbe, as the Rebbe once promised in the Friedrich Rebbe, Shenasi Yisrael lo yifardu mi'al tzei marisam. A leader, a shepherd of the Jewish people, never leaves his flock. Yisayim is a tzaddik, this spate shtakach b'chuli almin yasim b'chayayim. And the Rebbe, Alter Rebbe quotes in Tanya the Zohar that says when a tzaddik passes away, he's more available than he was before he passed away. Maybe not physically that you can see, but the limitations, like the Alter Rebbe says in the chapter in the Geras HaKodesh, that the limitations that the tzaddik may have had in helping the Chassidim is that even those restrictions are taken down. The Lag BaOmer Tafresh Tzadik Beis, Hayisi in the year Tafresh Tzadik Beis, which was about 32. The Rebbe says Hayisi Beriga. The Regel Kishra Atnaim Shal Gisi Arabban Shena. The Rebbetzin Chaim Musia had a younger brother, sister Shena, who married her cousin to Reb Mendel Harstein. They were both murdered by the Nazis in the camps. Her name was Rebbetzin Shena. So the Rebbe was by her wedding in 32. A Rebbe Amr Az Maimer de Ramaska Shramas Hinim Atoivim Benayim. The Friedrich Rebbe said a Maimer on the verse, which is connected very much to Lag BaOmer, which is based on the Gemara that says that when the world needed rain, he went to Reb Shimon Gamliel, Shimon Bar Yochai, and he said a Torah on Hinim Atoivim Benayim Sheves Achim Gam Yachad, and it rained. The Chag HaShavuos Nasa Rebbe, then the land Dorov, I'm not sure where that is, some city. Shami Sky Mechasen, the wedding was after Shavuos, around Shavuos. The Friedrich Rebbe wasn't happy with his health in 1932. And he said like this, that his father, seemingly in a vision, came to him because his father passed away, Tafresh Pei. This is Tzadik Beis, this is 12 years later. Why are you so broken? That when the animals of the chariot of the Merkava carry, they also get carried. When you have chayis, ruchniyus, if you can have chayis by ruchniyus, it's going to lift up your gashmiyus. When a person gives over to the Rebbe, frozen over here. Well done. Sorry. That's just very bad here. See, we're holding. I want to make sure this internet's still working. Okay, so the Rebbe said like this. When we give ourselves over to the Rebbe, do our mission that the Rebbe gives us. So in the binasis achayis that when the animals carry. It's going to affect our gashmiyus. If we do what we have to do, ruchniyus, it's going to affect our gashmiyus. Specifically, the things we need in order to be able to actualize our shlichus. If a person has institutions or things that you have to do in order to do your shlichus in life. You need gashmiyus in order to do ruchniyus. So specifically for there, you're going to see the benefit. We also find the Rebbe teaches us. The Rebbe saying the Friedrich Rebbe teaches us that Rishimas Amaisa the Shnas Tavrish Beizayim, when the previous Lubavitch Rebbe was imprisoned in 1927. Misaper Harabi Oidis Machshavoisiv Benegil Bnei Beis Shapalu Oz Atzloi Nemichas Ruach. When the Friedrich Rebbe was imprisoned, he was thinking about his family, and he got down. He was down about the effect that this whole thing is having on his family. U'Mesayim Doim Milhar. He said to himself that he has to stop thinking. He had a thought. He started thinking for a second. So everything really comes from Hashem. My family needs me. And although as the father and the head of the family is dependent on me, and I'm dependent on Hashem. So that when I have from Hashem, then my family is going to have. When they gave the Friedrich Rebbe a sense of elevation, and in the merit of our great holy fathers, which also fathers means using high refined thoughts. We know that the fathers are the thoughts. The Friedrich Rebbe said, I can't think about negative thoughts. That's going to make me down. The situation demands. We have to have the Friedrich Rebbe had to have an open heart and a high spirit. Otherwise, when you're in a hard situation like the Friedrich Rebbe was imprisoned by the communists, you could be crushed if you don't have the right mindset. He thought to himself, when all these dots mean the Rebbe was crying when he was speaking. When the Friedrich Rebbe envisioned the picture of his father, and he called out to his father, and he was able to get out of the situation. A Rebbe noisinates, the Rebbe shows us basically, when you're in a spiritual prison, and you're feeling down. So what do you do if you're feeling down? Then visualize the Rebbe's face. The person every once in a while has to visualize the Rebbe's face. And remind yourself of situations of whether you heard the Rebbe or saw the Rebbe. Even if you didn't physically see the Rebbe, let's say you were born after the Rebbe passed away, or came close to Yiddishkeit after the Rebbe came, whatever the reason is, you could always look at a picture of the Rebbe. We have to know. We have a holy father. There's nothing for us to be worried about. We have who to rely on. The Rebbe is with us. By days when we zone in like that, is he taisif by depending on the Rebbe, will bring us more flow from the Rebbe. Because the Rebbe promised that the leaders, the shepherds, don't leave the sheep, don't leave the flock. Everything that the flock needs. Whether we need growth in spirituality, or we need blessings, and the Rebbe spells it out, in blessings for children, in our health, and for parnasa, it shall be in a way of abundance. By connecting to the Rebbe, visualizing the Rebbe, plugging ourselves in to our connection to the Rebbe, then when that's a tziner that makes a path for the blessing from the Rebbe. This is where I want to finish. The Rebbe says, this is why it's also very important to go to the Oyel. People wonder, why do I have to go to the Oyel? The Rebbe says, because that's where the physical body of the Rebbe is. The body that's buried in the ground, Nasis iskashris and mechinas yichida b'nefesh. Through the body, you connect to the essence of the soul of the Rebbe that was in the body. When like we say, when we go to the oil, as is brought down in the special publication that we say in the Minor Lashon, is called at the oil. That was for the great Tanoim, the rabbis of the Mishnah, Amoraim, the rabbis of the Talmud, that they're with you. This is where they're resting. For the righteous that are buried here. The Rebbe says from this we see. Shibitzin shal tzaddik, where the tzaddik is, the Nimtzayim gam shar tzaddikim, other tzaddikim are with the tzaddik. Tanoim Amoraim, the Mishnah, the rabbis of the Mishnah, the rabbis of the Talmud. Koil miyuchad v'shayches Lag BaOmer Rashbi. The Rebbe says, you want to know where the Rashbi is and Lag BaOmer? The Rashbi is in the Oyhel. The Rebbe suggests, Shemachar b'Lag BaOmer and Lag BaOmer Yom Elul the Rashbi Yom Simchasei. Where do you think the Rashbi is celebrating? Simcha achik doilik my simchas nesuim ha'ilul, like a marriage. Like yom istalkish al Moshe Rabbeinu sheish b'sanu. It's not like when Moshe passes away that some people fast, but the celebration of the death of the passing of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is a day of celebration. The Rebbe suggests Yisai Kulam el oil, we should travel to the oil Shasham Nimsa Gam Rashbi, and with that all the brachos. And then I finished off giving everyone a bracha of different things. Here, we'll just finish off in footnote number 72. The Rebbe says, there's a few other points the Rebbe spoke about. One was the idea that the Rebbe Marash, the fourth Rebbe, Shmuel Shneerson, was in a way of abundance, everything's barachava with wealth, gold, silver. Famous story that they asked, who is gold for? Gold was not for you and I. Gold is for the tzaddik. So he says, he spoke about the tefillin and other things that one could look at on their own time in the footnotes. All right, if one wish everyone a happy Lag BaOmer, maybe we'll learn a mimer on Thursday and Friday.